Alright, so let's say that someone gives us like a slope and a point, and they ask us to find the equation of the line. So a couple things we want to be able to do here is we want to be able to know how to handle that. Like, what do we have? Like, what are our resources? And so one resource that we have is called, sorry about that, is called the point slope formula. And what the point slope form does for us is it allows us to take when we're given some information. For example, in this case, when we're given the slope and a point, that's why it's called the point slope form, then we can plug that stuff in. So in this particular case, we know that our slope is equal to -3. We know we have a point which is -1, 4. So this -1, 4, what we're going to say is we're going to say that this is our x1 and this is our y1. So we can take this guy and plug it into our equation. So this would be y minus 4 equals m, which our m in this case is -3, x minus, and we got to be really careful about this, a -1. So the formula actually has the minus signs in it. So you notice here that when I put this, it was y minus a positive 4. Over here, it's x minus my -1. So when we start simplifying this, we start off and we say y minus 4 is equal to -3x plus 1. And some of you might be able to handle that distribution at the same time. I'm going to go ahead and do it as two separate things. Now we distribute that negative sign inside, and we get y minus 4 is equal to -3x minus 3. Remember, we're solving, in this case here, we're going to go ahead and solve it and put it into slope-intercept form. So we're going for that y equals mx plus b form, slope-intercept form, remember. So we come out with this guy y, good housekeeping, keeping things organized, canceling things as I go, and there we are. That's slope-intercept form. Now, give me 1 second, I'm going to hit pause and I'm going to go grab something off another slide real quick. So what I wanted to discuss with you is that, inside of my math lab in the homework assignment, sometimes they ask for the slope-intercept form, sometimes they ask for standard form. So remember, standard form is just where we're just moving things around. So in this particular case, if we want to go to standard form is in the format of ax plus by is equal to c. Which means basically we need to move everything over to the left-hand side. So we go ahead and we add 3x. Oops, sorry about that. So now we have 3x plus y is equal to 1. And that's standard form. That's your standard form. Now, a couple things about standard form they don't want is they don't want fractions. So no fractions. And the term, the coefficient in front of the x, must be positive. So these are particular rules that my math lab has. So you might do a problem like this and you might get a negative x out in front and put it in the computer and it tells you you're wrong and you're like, but I did everything right. So that might be the situation. So let's see if we can come across that. So let's try another one of these. So we got our equation, which is y minus y1 is equal to m times x minus x1. We plug in our numbers. Y minus 6 is equal to 3 x minus -2. Clean it up a little bit. Y minus 6 is equal to 3 x plus 2. Y minus 6 is equal to 3x plus 6. I distributed my 3 inside. I start solving this thing to put it into slope-intercept form. So I add 6, and I get y is equal to 3x plus 12. So at this point, I'm like, okay, that's definitely slope intercept form, but now I need to put it in, I might need to put it in standard form. You got to make sure that you read the directions and look what they're looking for is the key thing. So let's go ahead and practice put it in standard form. So I subtract 3x. I subtract 3x. So I get negative 3x plus y is equal to 12. So if you type that into MyMathLab, they're going to tell you that's incorrect because they don't want a negative in front of that leading coefficient there. So what you're going to need to do is go ahead and multiply everybody by negative 1. So a negative times a positive would give you a positive. A negative times a a negative times a negative would give you a positive. A negative times a positive would give you a negative. And a negative times a positive would give you a negative. And this is the answer that MyMathLab would want if they were asking for standard form. Alright, so let me take a look and make sure we're good, and I'll be right back. Alright, so that'll wrap up this video. We've got a couple of special case similar situations, but we'll address those separately.